Loftus, and this is Jimmie Ratliff. Today we're going to discuss workforce transitions for high school and college students with disabilities. Jimmie, today we're focusing on how high school and college students with disabilities can successfully transition into the workforce. What are some early steps that these students can take to prepare for employment?
So you said the word, so early, start early. Students can connect with Department of Rehabilitation Services, which is DRS, for support. And DRS offers services like vocational counseling that will help students to define their career goals, and their interest and skills in vocational assessments to pinpoint what their strengths are, and so they can help to choose a potential career path.
Okay. And we've talked about IEPs before. How would IEPs play a role in the workforce transitions?
So IEPs are generally used in school, and that's to kind of help a student with a disability, their parents and their teachers come up with a plan to help that child succeed in school. And so as you move through school and then start to transition out of school, maybe into the workplace, IEPs can help the students move from school into work by identifying the skills that they might need help with. The information can also help students determine what kind of job they want and what kind of accommodations they need. Because if you need a certain accommodation while you're in school, there's a likelihood that you might need an accommodation when you transition over into the workplace as well. The IEPs can also help connect students with services like the vocational counseling, job placement, those things that DRS offers to make transitions even smoother.
Are there any programs that might help provide that work experience for students while they're still in high school?
Sure. So DRS, again, offers programs like school work study, where students can gain job readiness skills and earn a paycheck while working at their school within their community. They also have work adjustment training, and that's an option that provides job experience either through the school or through community partnerships. And those programs can help students start to build a strong foundation and learn what kind of job skills they'll need as they move forward.
Okay. And how can students with disabilities find jobs that match their skills and interests?
So again, DRS is the big deal today. So DRS can offer job development and placement services. So you might have a specialist with DRS who works with students to identify their strengths and interests and find potential employers with job openings, even help with applications and prepare them for interviews. And places like Dynamic Independence, we also help with things like resumes and interview prep, job applications, and those types of things as well.
Okay. But what about students with more significant disabilities? That might need like extra support.
So there is a supported employment program, also through DRS, and this program assigns a job coach. And these job coaches help students with significant disabilities find and maintain employment. They can assist with the entire process. Again, those things like job searches, applications, learning job tasks, and working toward independence. They can also be instrumental in helping somebody get an accommodation that they need in the workplace as well.
Okay. How do Centers for Independent Living, like Dynamic Independence, factor into the transitioning into the workforce?
Right. So we talked a little bit about that with some of the resume prep and some of the interview prep, those types of things. But another thing that we also do is we can help train individuals in job-related soft skills. So this might be things like time management or adaptability or communication. We can also help to advocate for their rights in the workplace. So we want them to be able to understand that their rights under the ADA and make sure that those employers are providing those reasonable accommodations. And if they're not getting the accommodations that they feel like that they need for their job, then we can step in and try to advocate with their employer as well.
Okay, let's talk about reasonable accommodations. What are some examples of accommodations that might benefit students with disabilities that are entering the workforce?
So specific accommodations are vary depending on what the individual's disability is and what the job demands. So for instance, students with concentration issues, maybe anxiety or something like that, they might have issues where they need a quieter work area or maybe more frequent breaks. Those are managing medication side effects. For their disability, they might require more flexible work schedules or appointments. So maybe working remotely, modifications to the way that they communicate with their supervisor. Those all might be different accommodations that somebody might ask for whenever they're interviewing or whenever they begin their job and they ask for reasonable accommodation.
Okay. And some students with disabilities, they may feel like they already have, being a student is already one barrier to finding an employment while they're still in high school or whatever. So what is the best time for them to disclose their disability to a prospective employer?
So if they feel they're going to need a reasonable accommodation, that's generally a good time to be a catalyst to disclose that right off. Do people have to disclose a disability to their employer? No, they do not. But if you need an accommodation, then your employer needs to know that, and they're going to need to know what kind of accommodation that you'll need based upon the type of disability that you have. So while you're not obligated to apply for to disclose that while you're applying for the job, you'll need to disclose it if you're requiring that accommodation. And another thing that can lead to is you want to make sure that you are requesting accommodations that may help you do your job effectively. And sometimes those accommodations aren't always doable. Right. There may be times when an employer may say that's going to cause an undue hardship. It's going to cost the company extra money. It might cost. They may have something where they have to rearrange the way that they do the business in general, and so that can create an undue hardship on the employer. And they may say, we can't provide that accommodation, but here's an alternative accommodation that we might be able to give you for that. And be open to have those discussions as well with your potential employer. It's always better to disclose whenever you know you're going to need a reasonable accommodation than it is to just wait until you have the job and it creates maybe some sort of an issue for you later on.
Right, because if they can't, if for whatever reason they cannot offer that accommodation in a way that works for them and you, then that job, you've been excited, you've gotten the job, and then they may not be able to offer you that job after all.
Right.
So what is your best advice for students with disabilities who are feeling apprehensive about entering the workforce?
So it's normal to feel anxiety. Everybody feels anxiety sometimes. And so you have to remember that you have specific strengths and skills that you offer. And everybody has different strengths and skills. You don't have the same strengths and skills that I do. I don't have the same ones that you do. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you're connecting with resources like Centers for Independent Living, like we are, like DRS. Utilize those services. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you don't know something and that's a barrier for you, ask that question. Get all the information out there on the table. There are people who work at the schools. There are people who work at Centers for Independent Living, the DRS, and it is their job to provide this kind of information for you, to advocate for you, and to help you understand the process. So don't ever think that you're being maybe a burden or it's going to create some sort of a big issue if you ask questions. That's what we're here for. That's what folks like us are here for.
Well, as always, Jimmie, we appreciate you putting in the time and doing the research to find out information on these topics for us, and we enjoy hearing your insights on them. And for all of our viewers, we want to tell you to have a happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. We hope you get to enjoy time with family, and we also hope that you will join us back here next Wednesday for another live. And till then, have a great week.